Megamind, 2010 animated film from DreamWorks. It's a superhero action comedy directed by Tom McGrath. Voice cast includes Will Ferrell, Jonah Hill, Brad Pitt, Tina Fey and David Cross. At the time of its release, this was one of the least successful DreamWorks animations, which is really sad to me as the film itself is quite amazing. The story starts with a riff on Superman's origin. Two different alien babies crash land on Earth after the destruction of their respective planets. One of them lands in a rich, lovely house, has superpowers and grows up to be the beloved Metro Man, the protector of the city. The other one lands in a city prison and is raised by the inmates, which is a hilariously bleak premise. And his only power is his intellect, and he's, through his life he's basically conditioned to a life of crime and villainy, and this is the titular Megamind. These two become each other's enemies, they clash all the time, they fight all the time until one day, to the surprise of everyone, including himself, Megamind manages to kill Metro Man and take over the city as its new ruler. But then he goes into this existential crisis. What if he's no longer defined by his enemies, by his enemy? What is he if he loses that? Does he even want to be a supervillain anymore? Has he ever wanted to? So my first impression of the movie was that it's butt ugly. I mean, the action looks fine, the characters are so-so, shaky, let's say, but the backgrounds and environments are just atrocious. I mean, the city, the buildings, all that looks like from something from an old video game. And just for reference, I cross-checked what Pixar was doing at the time, and 2010 is when Toy Story 3 came out, and before that they've already done things like Up, WALL-E and Ratatouille, which all three of them are vastly more beautiful. However, once I got used to the animation quality, I actually really appreciated the movie. I think the story is very good. I would go so far even as to say it was ahead of its time in 2010 because, the superhero craze was just sort of gearing up with the release of Iron Man 2 that year. And this is more of a postmodern thought experiment on why a villain is a villain, what defines him, what motivates him, and what happens if that motivation in the form of a superhero is gone. So, in many ways it is a story of what would Lex Luthor do if he got rid of Superman successfully and whether he could become good, which I think, in order to be appreciated by the wider audiences, would require them to first know a bit more of the genre than they could have at the time. There's also the subplot of Titan, which is basically an incel story before anyone even knew what an incel is, before the term was coined. I like that the movie is very tight in terms of every element that is introduced becomes in some way important later on, even if initially it seems like a very small plot device. So, for instance, at the very beginning of the film, we are introduced to the watch, which allows its wearer to change appearance, and the dehydration gun, and both seem like sort of gag items, but both become absolutely instrumental to the main plot. I also loved how the movie makes you think it's going to sort of go back on its premise and have Metro Man return to save the day at the end, only for that to not happen. They do follow through on the concept and his character decisions, which I thought was very, very cool. I like the humor, I like the jokes, I think all the character dynamics are strong, and again, aside from the animation quality, it is a fantastic movie all around. If you can accept the shortcomings of the visual side, do give it a chance. I think this is an underappreciated film.